This is so important when it comes to B2B lead nurture. You've got to pay attention to whether you have a warm and active list or if there are people that are not engaging. If they're not engaging, don't let them hang out in your CRM rent free. Get them out of there. Let them unsubscribe. It's fine because you're not serving them and they are not serving you. So don't be scared of segmenting by their engagement levels because they have no intention of buying from you anytime soon. So let them go. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Marketing Blender Show. Obviously, you can see that I have a special co-host today. Ramsey Sanchez is the head of digital marketing at the Marketing Blender. And so welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to talk about our topic today.
Me too. And it's funny, you guys, because anytime you see Ramsey on camera, it means we're about to talk about some complicated stuff that can truly unlock some really significant return on investment. Because between you and me, he is one of our ROI secret weapons. And so, yeah, you're welcome for bringing him on the show. But today we're going to talk about the top secrets of B2B lead nurture. Now, a lot of people have a tendency to feel like, email, or following up, or there's no ROI in lead nurture. Au contraire, my friend, because if you only focus on immediate lead gen, you will not scale in the future. Your growth will never get easier if you do not expand your ecosystem. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So I'm excited about this because I do feel like this is one of those areas that's not sexy, but it is so important if you want a long-term marketing system that produces really strong return on investment. So I love it. I think let's start someplace really basic. If we're thinking about lead nurture, obviously this is a B2B podcast, business to business. So what's the difference between a B2B nurture funnel and a B2C funnel?
Yeah, that's a great question. You were just talking about, these things are like sexy. And I think that's part of the job is that we're trying to help this look probably a little bit better, improving your funnel and things like that. But when you think about B2B funnels, you got to think about that this is a process that takes a little bit longer. Most of our clients have life cycles of 30 days plus.
Yeah.
And so
sometimes years.
Even years.
Yeah.
If it's really high ticket, if there's a lot goes into investment and
government scenarios, contracts, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I think for the most part, when you think about a B2B funnel, it's a long-term play. We've had clients who have funnels that are pages long, and then you have some that are much shorter, and those are going to be in your e-commerce space. And that's kind of when you get into the B2C, your business to consumer funnel. So really you're talking about, not high-ticketed items or T-shirts, or they could be anything around electronics or fans of the like. But I guess when you start thinking about maybe even higher ticket items, they will be a longer life cycle, but just not as long as a B2B.
Totally. And I think that's such a great point. And for me, it really boils down to what's the end goal. So for business to consumer, it's always a purchase. Now, it might be a point of sale purchase. So the lead nurture is maybe a coupon or something that is triggering urgency. But with business to business, it's almost always a sales qualified meeting. Now, Ramsey brought this up that if it's a SaaS model or something else where there is a B2B e-com, then it is resulting in purchase, but rarely do B2B buyers immediately on the first time purchase something. There is always a lead nurture going on, and it just depends whether you're activating on purpose or not, because typically your lead nurture is a lead generator. And so even if it's not a sales qualified meeting that you're trying to get to, there typically needs to be some support along that buyer's journey. So, talk to me, do you have any stories or examples that we can kind of share with the audience about, things that you've learned, ones that you've activated that really help you, to help them understand, how's this really supposed to work?
Sure. Yes. I definitely have an example. And, it was funny that we brought up the sales process for B2B funnels. It can take years, but a lot of times, building a funnel can take quite a bit of time to really get it to an exact science. However, I don't want that to be like an excuse for you to not start. You've got to start as soon as you're done here, and you probably already have one in place. And kind of to Dacia's point is that if we can just improve this funnel 5% every day or every month, you're on the way of doing something. And a good example of that is at the last company I worked at was a finance company, and it was in commercial. It was in commercial equipment. I don't want to give too many details, but it was a lot of budget and a lot of leads, and there was only me and the marketing director and one creative person, and we had to figure out a way to segment all these leads to 20 different salespeople and help qualify them. So that process took a little bit of time, but a really good example of a lead nurture for the B2B space was from that story was when probably around 2021 when things really started ramping up for us. Our ad spend started going up. We were starting to see more ROI, but the contacts were coming in like crazy. And you start dreaming about this kind of equipment and the people, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is insane. But what we had done was we started getting into the content creation phases. We were working with the owner of the company, helped getting him to write about and talk about topics for us. Then that turned into blogging, and but we started to see that there was a lot of people coming from our pay-per-click, but they were just kind of just bouncing and leaving, and not opting in for the ultimate conversion that we wanted. It was long form, and financing and things like that. So what we did was we started to convert some of those pieces of content into digestible content that they can download. Doesn't take a lot of information. We just ask for simple information, name, email. That gradually we asked for some other information, but something that they could just take away. And a lot of times it was probably the same things that they were all dealing with. You're just not ready to finance right now, right? And so a lot of times the ebook was around the 5 steps to XYZ, or the 7 reasons why this is stopping you from doing this. And then our email follow-up process would be of the same sort. It would be kind of talking a little bit deeper dive, thank you, and then getting them into a newsletter. So it was probably like a 6-point email system where we talked about each step or something like that. But the email would also send them to a page, and if that person had not filled out a form, the form that we wanted them to fill out, we would have some sort of chat automation sequence that would pop up in front of them. And they would see that chat, and they would start to engage with it and ask some questions, and then it just went from there. We had a phone follow-up process for those who clicked on the emails and things like that. So it was one big funnel that really took a couple of years to really hone in on and improve.
But you built a system, and I love this example because it is so robust. That was not day one. Day one, you started with the most, the biggest frustration, the biggest pain problem, the area where you're losing leads, and you nurture that, and then you learn. And I think this is the thing, 2 things I love so much about lead nurture, is that if you're doing this properly, metrics are going to give you information about buyer behavior. You do not have to guess what people need in order to progress through the buyer's journey. They will tell you based on what they're clicking, what they're opening, what they're reading, what they're watching. There's so much information that you can get that truly builds resilience into your long-term system. And then the other thing that Ramsey really hit on is that you are leaving leads and opportunities on the table if you don't nurture them. Yes, we are excited about the people that are ready to buy right now, but what's wrong with the people that are going to buy 3 months from now or 6 months from now? Because guess what? You have to hit your number 3 months from now and 6 months from now, and they will get you there, and you will help them achieve. So this is truly about being a guide to your prospects. And, one of the other things I love, Ramsey, when I think about kind of the human side of lead nurture is that you're literally serving people well. You're saying, okay, I know you're not ready to buy. And so here are common questions. Here's how I can help you. Here's how you can make a really great decision. And for me, as a strategist, that is literally servant leadership in action, like differentiation. You're basically taking all of the knowledge that you know and sharing it openly with the market so that they progress towards a really confident purchase. And wow, it happens to be your company because you have a lot to offer. So I get really excited. And, a couple of the stories for me that pop up, we have run so many engineering funnels. Engineers, they engage with anywhere between 7 to 13 points of content and marketing before they'll progress towards a decision or deal or some point of influence. So tons of those, and just thinking about how do you continue to drive high quality value. And it is always about what do people need in order to bring them into the ecosystem and to really start influencing them in their research phase before they're going to make a decision. We've done return on investment calculators and, which is a little bit lower in the funnel. Typically people are starting to get really warm if they're thinking about, okay, what's the money impact? But also sometimes it's that high level top of funnel curiosity. And that is where thought leadership comes in, because then you can really make sure that you earn a seat at the table because of your brand awareness and because of the value you're bringing. So many cool assessments. My gosh, we've got endless amounts. So those are some of the good things that happen when we've got a funnel.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of clients that come in and they've tried funnels and they've tried lead nurturing. It's not working. It doesn't work in their industry. Okay, so when you're looking at most common mistakes or places that you're going to audit first, what are you looking to uncover and what are you typically anticipating when lead nurture is broken?
Yeah, that's a great question. And you had said something earlier that made me think about something I thought about when I was preparing for this topic. But I'll get to the question first. A lot of times you take the time to build this funnel and you have it set up and you're ready to hit go, or you already have it going, and you're probably wondering what is going on, what is wrong. Well, sometimes it's just a matter of, the first thing I always see is that there's a lot of leads that came in through your campaign or your funnel, and they got hit once and that was it.
Yes.
And a lot of times the timing on when you reached out to them is difficult, or it's not as fast as you want it. Because right now, if you think about it, those leads are at a stage where they took the time and energy to reach out to you. They're filling out this information. They probably saw you through an ad, so it's, they're kind of on that phase of, do I trust this company? And, I've got 2 others that are in mind, and this is an ad, so it's really important to start tearing down those walls as fast as you can and get in front of them.
Send them something immediately.
Send them something. Get them on a phone call, and and that's really 100% most of the time. It's you had 20 leads that came from the campaign, but they didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
They should be funneling towards something. If they converted on this page, or if they converted with this form, they should be added to a specific list and then have something going out to them.
And I think that's such a great point. They literally carved out time in their busy day on their to-do list to do something. There's nothing worse than being like, all right, well, there's part 2 whenever this company gets back to me or whenever I get my questions. No, give them what they want right then. Now, I'm not going to jump ahead, but this is when chatbots as a lead nurture are an option. But anticipate that and get something so that they can stay while you're top of mind with them, stay in that to-do list so that they maintain that urgency. I love that one. Yeah, that speed to response. And so often people are like, oh, we don't want to feel salesy. What? They're trying to buy something. That is the most ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah.
Okay, what else are you looking for in broken lead nurture?
Yeah, I think for broken lead nurture, again, it kind of goes back to what I was saying before. You just got to set it up and try to look at the thought process of what went into creating that lead nurture. I think sometimes you you think you know your customer, and this is kind of what you were talking about when it came to getting more data and more metrics out of your customer. When I worked in the finance space, banking, right, that if they're going to lend money, they want to know everything about you. So before they have any kind of decision of what they're going to loan to you, right? So I'm not saying that you have to learn everything about your customer, but to the point, you got to ask as many questions as you can get out of them. And then first thing you got to do is reach out to them quick. And then when you do, you got to have all your list of questions that you can capture. A lot of times it's probably going to be manual. But as soon as you get that information, go plug it into your CRM, create fields in your CRM, and place where are they from, what industry are they in, how long does it take to close a lead, all those different metrics and points. What does your demographic usually look like? A lot of that stuff is missing in the workflow or in the funnel itself. And so once you get all that information, it makes optimizing your funnel a lot easier. Especially from a Google ad side, if you're paying for ads, you want to make sure that you're doing it the right way first. You want to make sure that your bidding and everything is in the hitting the exact target persona, so to speak, for that funnel. And so I would say that's probably one of the biggest issues.
I love that. I mean, you're so right. It's really about walking in someone else's shoes. Where are they in their purchase journey? What keywords or what targeting? So what assumptions are we drawing that, what caused us to do those? Now, is that a consistent conversation from what brought them in to the very next touch that you're asking, whether you're asking information in a field or information in a form or on a sales call, or, if it's about sending them multiple points of value. What do we know about what they need? So I completely agree. And that really leads me when I'm looking at them to messaging. Oh my gosh, Don't be boring. Don't waste their time and don't talk about yourself. They have a problem that they're trying to solve. They've got a goal that they're trying to achieve. Talk about that. It's so simple. Talk to them, and about their progress. And that's when lead nurture actually works, because you're nurturing their journey, not nurturing their interest in you. Like, I think that's where people get so confused about marketing. Marketing is not about talking about yourself, like popping a collar, right? Like, it is always about serving someone well and using your mastery, what you know, in order to really help that person make a great decision. And that is amazing lead nurture. And that's what really helps you stand out against the competition. Because if you make it so easy for them to progress, why would they waste their time with anybody else? And so many people do this bad. So poorly. Like, this is such a big one. Wrong call to action, wrong messaging. You're right. Misalignment with targeting. I mean, so many different things. Now, you were mentioning a moment ago, you were like, wait, like I had something that came to mind.
I had just mentioned it. It was something around you said something about like data points of like you think you know your customer. The buyer behavior. You think you know your customer. And so you go off of just that one thought that you might have, like, well, if they're doing it, then all of my customers are going to do that. It's not going to happen that way. Although your buyer persona, when you create that, you should probably have one or two, I think, and try to aim for that. But you're going to have different messaging that resonates with different people, and that's
right.
That kind of goes off of what you were saying on the messaging on like a landing page, for example. You've got your core services, and then you have all these other terms that you might be kind of showing up for. Do you have messaging around that as well? Because if you're not, then they're just going to leave, or they're not going to convert. So
exactly.
If you can get ahead of that and add that to your funnel, right? Make that a subcategory subset of landing page conversion, ABC. This one's going to be on this topic, and I also show up. And that's the importance of our audit too. Is hey, did you know you also show up for these two terms? Here, create 2 landing pages on that, and have that as a conversion method too for your blogs and things. So.
Oh my gosh, absolutely! I mean, so many opportunities to just not flush opportunity down the toilet, and I love what you're talking about. You're so right. Each persona has a different message. So I'll give some really extreme examples, but people don't think about it. So a lot of manufacturers, they sell to engineering group, and they sell to maybe a general contractor or the person that is actually going to install, or, the final user of that. Okay. Those are totally different audiences. What a general contractor is paying attention to, usually not email. So now we're typically talking sales nurturers or text nurturers would be very different things versus
Yeah.
an engineer. Even the style of the messaging, the level of detail, but same company, same product, totally different. Or if we're talking about technology, the final decision maker on a major technology purchase might be the COO, right? However, they always are going to bring in their IT person. They're always going to ask the end users in their company for feedback. They're going to have kind of a buying committee. The nurture for the IT person, very different than the nurture for the COO. And in that scenario, same customer, same provider, same SaaS company or same technology provider, totally different messages. And again, exactly like you're saying, you learn so much and now you can have so much different points of influence. And what I love is that people might think, wow, this sounds like a lot of work. There's no finish line in marketing, but what I love is you build this and then you automate it and then you watch how it performs and you just tweak. I mean, it's not reinventing every wheel, every cog, every widget. It's building a really amazing integrated system that serves your market really well and then tells you whether they like what you're doing or not.
Yeah.
So it's so great.
It's the best like market research you can do for yourself without having to pay another company to do it. You can do it all yourself.
Exactly.
What if you're a small business, a startup, or even a nonprofit? We serve you with the same strategies, processes, and frameworks that help you grow no matter your business size or your business stage. In fact, the smaller your business and the smaller your budget, the more important it is to get real advice from a chief marketing officer so you can stop wasting money, start getting more of your ideal customers, and keep more of the customers that you have. If you want to learn more about how to do that affordably, talk with me about our Marketing Blender Lab program.
You know, and we were talking about that idea about servant leadership and just being great to people. And it's funny because we hear a lot of phrases with clients or, you know, the people that we talk to where they're like, well, we don't want to sound salesy or like we're nagging people. What? No, they came into your system. They were paying attention to what you're saying. They're curious. The only time you're being salesy is if you're not providing value. So just provide value. And you're not going to sound naggy. You're not going to be salesy. So I think people get overly paranoid about this. And so just truly give people something really, really good. And that will not feel oogie or weird to them in your lead nurture.
I think this might have been another point that I started to think about earlier on when I said, I have this point that I want to talk about. It was also, you just brought it up again, I believe. And it was something about, it's a part of the not nagging process, right? You get a lead that comes through. They took the energy. They took the time. They know somewhat what they're getting into. I mean, obviously, don't bombard them, or as soon as they get there, don't send them 10 emails. But they also just cannot live in the CRM system rent free. Like, I think a lot of times our clients come in and they're like, I just built up a giant contact list, I ran a bunch of ads, and it's like, well, HubSpot, whatever CRM only allows for 2,000 contacts, and you're at $19.99. What are they doing there? They don't. If they don't have a place there, remove them. But the way you can do that is nurture them, put them into a funnel, send them an email, and get in contact with them as many times as possible. If they have a high engagement, separate those out because they're probably more likely to engage you. If they're not opening up the email, then that's fine. Remove those, and then you won't be in that constant battle with yourself of that. Am I nagging this client? Because you've built that funnel out to do that.
Oh, bravo! This is so important when it comes to B2B lead nurture. You've got to pay attention to whether you have a warm and active list, or if there are people that are not engaging. If they're not engaging, don't let them hang out in your CRM rent free. Get them out of there. Let them unsubscribe. It's fine because you're not serving them and they are not serving you. So don't be scared of segmenting by their engagement levels because they have no intention of buying from you anytime soon. So let them go. And wow, it's a great point. You have had to do a lot of list cleanup. And I mean, a list cleanup a lot of times is even, where did you get this from? When was the last time you talked to them? I mean, there's a lot of just basic conversation about what are we looking at in this contact information, especially if it wasn't set up correctly. So I think that's, and I'm going to jump ahead really quickly. also. So give me an example of how fast can lead nurture work in B2B, but or also what's the other extreme? Like how long should people allow things to nurture? Are there any kind of bookmarks so that people can get an idea of what we're saying here?
Okay. So we have one client that serves and sells, let's just say art pieces, and they went through and built a very intricate, robust funnel for their system, and it's probably taken several months for us to really get to know the system, learn how to do things. They're constantly building in that, and it may take a year for them to really figure out like this is exactly how we're going to do things. But that's ultimately what's going to make them
It's a game changer.
Probably the number one company in that system.
Absolutely.
I doubt that any of their competitors are doing that.
Absolutely.
And so I would say to the extreme, a good extreme, that is something that that lead funnel is gonna lead to that. Try to like a shorter example of a lead funnel would probably just, again, it depends on the industry. We have clients that are in the emergency space.
Yeah.
And so, hey, they got a situation, a spill, they're calling, and I mean, it's pretty quick. But there's also clients that they have gotten through a contact form, right? Where it's kind of an issue, but for some reason that client can wait a little bit. They're like, well, we know this is going to take some time, hopefully same day or next day, but we need to get rid of this stuff. Well, for them, all they have to do is just follow up.
Yeah.
But what if that company needs an ongoing service, right? Well, they want to be the person that they come to every time. So that company does a really good job. They have an app, right? They have a portal set up for clients, and that they can get set up pretty quickly once they are in their system.
Absolutely.
So that takes a matter of a few days, and then the next time they have some things that need to be picked up and disposed of, they're right there.
That's right. It's a great point. So, I mean, in short, lead nurture can go from wildly effective at 1 to 2 touches, just depending on the nature of the business and the nature of the buyers and their need, all the way to dozens and dozens and dozens of touches, but eventually turning into business. And, one of the things that you brought up also that I really want to make sure we don't skip out on, and you've hinted at, customer nurture. We've got a number of equipment manufacturers, and a lot of these equipment, you need to replace batteries every couple of years, or there needs to be maintenance, or you need to get an upgrade. And these are really great customer initiatives to keep you top of mind, to cross-sell, upsell, and make sure that it's not just set it and forget it, and you're finding more opportunities to drive value, because those reminders are valuable to these customers. Like, oh, I forgot to put that on my to-do list. That's right. We need to do that. I mean, it's a really big deal. So there's so much ROI as long as you're doing this well.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite tools, and let's kind of dive into what are different types of tools, favorite tools, but also all different types of platforms or tools that we can use in order to nurture.
And you great segue. I think you just mentioned something about a list, right? And right now, I think a project management tool is super important. If you don't have a project management tool, I mean, I don't know how you get anything done. I really like a CRM with the to-do list, and even like maybe some milestones and things like that, because a lot of times you can just place your funnel into that system.
Yeah.
And really, it starts off with just writing down what your funnel is going to look like, and then you may have a creative person that comes in and helps you design the elements. And but I don't know. You have to get that plugged into your CRM or your project management tool, and that's really going to help you win. And then now, I talk about, one of my favorites is HubSpot.
Absolutely.
SharpSpring is
another one.
Another one, great one. I mean, it's perfect contender to that, and there's several others. But I typically like to connect HubSpot because it kind of works with the ecosystem of Google. It works with Google Ads. Google Ads connects to GA4. It connects to Google Tag Manager, which are just all tools that help you track your customers.
Yeah. And there's a lot of great operational alignment that I like with that tool as well, because, it can connect to an ERP, an inventory system, sometimes accounting. And so especially if you're really trying to automate operations and see data from cradle to grave around customer analytics, it's outstanding. And that's why, I'm fine with smaller businesses doing smaller automation systems, like a Constant Contact or a Keep, or a lot of the big ones have small versions. But if you're starting to get to a high level of customer contacts, prospects, if you're increasing the volume of your lead gen, or if there's a lot of segmentation, or if you have customer nurture plus prospect nurture, it is so worth the cost of that technology, because now all the technology is integrating. And a lot of times there's a point with our clients, where they have, email automation or an email service, and they've got a separate CRM, and they've got a separate SMS component, and they've got, name all the different things, and they've got a Monday or a project management. And so a lot of times the cost differential when you simplify your tech stack into one tool can be huge. So I kind of just rattled through a couple of those. Chatbots,
Hey,
live or automated.
that's the future.
I know,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's another tool that can be really healthy for nurture.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, and we've chatted about this before, but chatbots, they're getting better and they're learning about different information. You can basically feed the machine all the information about your business, about your website. It'll take data points, and if you wanted to, deploy one on your website, you can. And someone goes on there, a user. Let's say you want to only show this chatbot to users who didn't convert. That's an option, and they can ask questions, and they know almost everything now because you taught it everything about yourself, and that ultimately helps with the messaging and getting them to convert. So I believe in chatbots. It's going to be the future. Also, there's going to be things like automated calling and robots, stuff like that, and they're sounding really great. And I mean, it may not take over the world in this generation, but eventually it's gonna be crazy.
I know, exactly. And in regards to tools and all of the things you can deploy for lead nurture, a couple other not AI components. Sales enablement, sales follow-up, especially structured, process-driven sales follow-up, especially if they're getting triggers and automation alerts about buyer behavior. That's a huge part on nurture. Have the humans show up when the buying humans are ready to talk to them. Yeah. So that's a big one. And then I'm going to go out on I wonder if some of our audience of marketers would argue with me here, but I'm going to go on a limb and argue that brand campaigns and are a huge part of nurture, especially for the longer funnels, because now you're tapping into that familiarity heuristic where when they're not on your website, they constantly see your name, and that can be retargeting. It can also be intentional, targeted campaigns, so you're hitting them in multiple places. But that can be huge, because the more familiar they are with your message, the more familiar they've been surrounded by the value that you bring, that gets more and more comfortable as the sales process, nears an end. And so I'm a big fan of that brand ecosystem and how it can really, and we see that, it's not the first thing I'm going to deploy, but once we start getting a healthy nurture, I want to start going bigger with that brand awareness. It's amazing how much return on investment where we really start seeing those nurture funnels work better when we deploy those.
Yeah. And two things that you just said was tracking, right? Getting alerts. I mean, that is really one of my favorite things, is that if you can get these things implemented fast and quickly, right? Get some speed behind it. Yeah. You can start tracking and seeing the same activity that we see in your system. So, you definitely want to make sure that you have that set up, and hopefully a tool that can alert you on things, right? Like, hey, Sarah visited this webpage today, Joey opened up this email, and hey, someone contacted your salesperson today, those different things. And maybe you want to go in and add that in your funnel, where it's like, well, this is happening quite a bit, so I'm going to add in the funnel that I want to start engaging with the customers when they hit this page every time.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially when things are going right and your ad spend starts to go up, and you're going to start seeing much more activity. You need something to have in place for when that happens. So,
exactly.
I think some of the tools and platforms I think I may have missed was emails, SMS. I mean, if you're just starting out, I think a lot of times we work with clients that are in a phase where they're like, okay, just need leads coming through,
Yeah.
get clients, and quick funnels are really great for that, right? We do have other clients that are, hey, I've got time. I've got time. I can wait a little bit. I want to build up my SEO because I know that's going to be something that takes 6 months. It can take a year, but yeah, I have time and I have a little bit of budget to work with. Those are always really great. And when we talk about ROI, we wanted to test things on your website. If things don't look good, we might refresh it, rebrand it. We might try different metrics, but that's when tools like GA4 Analytics come in place, because then we can see the behavioral activities that are happening on your website. When they enter this page, and then they used to leave on that page, but now they enter this page, they went to another page, and they interacted with this element. So there's different things that
It's fantastic.
you can measure ROI in different aspects. From a digital marketer all the way up to a CMO. So
That's right. Exactly. I love it. Well, you guys, thank you so much. I tell you, we could probably have gone for another 30 minutes on this topic, but a couple key takeaways on the marketing side, but also the human side that I really want you guys to think through. So on the marketing side, pure, simple B2B lead nurture is about not wasting opportunity. So close deals today and close deals tomorrow. This is going to build scalability. And then also, this is your differentiation in action. This is how you can drive value before they're even a customer. And let me tell you, nothing sets up an exciting customer experience like having an amazing prospect experience. You're literally telling them ahead of time that you are going to be the best to work with, drive the most value, and just be an amazingly proactive partner. So do that during the buyer's journey. Now, on the human side, this, again, is about partnering with the people that you serve. You built an entire business to help people achieve their goals and to help them overcome obstacles standing in the way. Do it in your marketing too. Do not wait for people to give you an invoice to be good to them. Being good is good for business, and one of the best, highest return on investment places to really activate any type of purpose and intentionality and servant leadership in your market is in your lead nurture system. So thank you guys so much. Ramsey, thank you so much for joining. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure that you have notifications turned on. We drop an episode every Wednesday, and we are constantly doing episodes based on what you want to know. So also feel free to hit us up in our direct messages or at themarketingblender.com and let us know what you want to hear about. All right, you guys, we'll see you next Wednesday on Version Up.